Hi, I'm Jeannie. Welcome to Mimicraft, your home for all things creative and DIY on a budget. I make all the mistakes so you don't have to. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell so you know when I upload, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. Now, on with the first project. For the first project, you'll need 2 boxes of tumbling tower blocks. Select 20 blocks that are the same size in all dimensions for the first tier of this project. This is going to be wall decor. Using wood glue, glue them in sets of 5, end to end. Be sure to remove any excess glue on both sides with a damp paper towel. When completely dry, turn each of these right side up and use wood filler to fill in any imperfections or spaces between the blocks. If you don't have wood filler, you can sand the blocks and glue the leftover sawdust into all of those crevices with wood glue. If you scrape off the excess wood filler before you sand, it will save you a whole lot of time. Don't forget your protective gear before you sand. Go ahead and either sand by hand, or I have an electric sander called a corner cat that I like to use, and I'm using 150 grit sandpaper. Again, with wood glue, glue these 4 sides into a square as seen on screen. The next tier requires 16 blocks and 4 half blocks. For the half blocks, just mark them in the middle. And I have this little craft miter saw. I can put a link for you in the description box to cut mine in half. And this is what you should end up with. Glue together 4 sets of 4.5. I put my half blocks in the middle. As in the previous tier, add in wood filler and then sand when it's all dry. Again, glue into a square. Each tier decreases by a half a block until you're down to just a square of 4 blocks. Once all of the tiers were completed, I filled in all of the corners that I didn't previously fill in with wood filler. I use the sawdust method to fill these in. Stack the first 5 tiers, smallest to largest, as you see here. I'll add that 5th tier in a minute. Center smaller squares over larger squares and mark where you'll be gluing them. Place a thin line of glue on the inside edge of the larger square, going all the way around. Place the next smaller tier on top of it and secure it. Continue gluing until you reach the smallest square. If you choose to, you can leave the center block open. I decided to fill it in. 2 blocks is just a little bit too small to fill that opening, so I took the 2 blocks and put wood filler in between. I didn't even think to use 3 blocks. I don't know if it'll fit or not. You might want to try that instead. Glue those 2 pieces on the back of the smallest square, and then you can glue that square onto the other tiers previously glued. Here I am gluing on the 5th tier that I forgot in the first place. Square 6 or tier 6 is glued on top, followed by 7, 8, and 9. That will give you a 3D effect. I was having trouble reaching the glue with a paper towel, so I took a toothpick and a cotton ball, and just like when you're getting your nails done at the salon, took out a little piece of cotton ball, wrapped it around the end of the toothpick, wet it down, and used that to wipe all those crevices free of glue. When the project is a little bit dry enough to hold together, flip it over and remove all the excess glue from the back. Time to place the hanger. I recommend either a sawtooth or a D-ring hanger. I decided to put 2 on the back so I could hang it both horizontally and on a diagonal. And here's how it turned out. Here it is in white. I think painting it really makes that 3D effect pop. Now let's take those same 9 squares and do something a little bit different with them. We're going to be making a wall sconce. I decided to stack these all on one end. I started by marking the middle of each one of these pieces, but somehow they just didn't line up, so I eyeballed it. I'll show you step by step in just a minute. See, this is where they didn't line up, so back to square one. Pun intended. Run a thin bead of glue on the largest square, about 3/4 of the way up on that inside edge. Then across the bottom, and then another thin bead going up the other side about 3/4 of the way. Place the next smaller square, center it, but keeping it even with the bottom edge, as you see here on screen. Continue gluing and attaching subsequent squares, I can't say that word, squares, until you reach the smallest one. This time to cover up the hole, I used 3 blocks and I placed them even with one edge and then all the way across. Just watch what I'm doing here, it'll make sense. Since I'm going to be placing a light, I didn't want light showing through the cracks, so I went ahead and put some wood filler in between the cracks of those 3 blocks. Now, I didn't want light leaking through any of the cracks, so I just filled the bejeebers out of this thing with wood filler. The wood filler seeped to the other side, so I used a toothpick to clean it out. Now you can glue on the last square. Now to fill in all those crevices on the inside so the light doesn't sneak out, I'm going to show you 3 different methods. First method would be with some caulk. And I thought this was really easy, but I'm used to caulking. So I'll leave that up to you. But using a caulk gun, I'm just showing you how it releases. I just went ahead and caulked that little crevice there, making sure not to have the caulk go above that very last spot where it would show on the front. Now, if you don't have or don't want to use caulk, you can use wood filler as well. I started out by just putting it in with a tube and a knife, but you'll see eventually that I started putting it in with a paintbrush. That did not work out too badly at all. You could also use spackle. You can use water to smooth out the wood filler if it's looking lumpy or not very attractive. After all that, I could still see light peeking through a little bit. So what I did is I painted black over everything I caulked or sealed, and it ended up looking like this, which offended my sensibilities. So I put Mod Podge over the black and then painted white over the black because I was afraid the black was showing. You don't have to do those extra steps, but it really sealed the whole thing off. I'm just showing you how I painted so that it wouldn't show on the front of the project. Lastly, put a puck light in the bottom. You don't even need to secure it. You can just leave it sitting there. I use puck lights that have a remote. And this is how it turned out. I used a D-ring for the hanger. I forgot to video that, sorry. You're going to love this last one. It's a display bowl. You're going to need 3 to 4 boxes of tumbling tower blocks because of rejects. There's going to be no filling or sanding, just gluing. Make a rectangle 10 wide by 5 tall by gluing blocks end to end, as you see here on screen. Glue them together in the same pattern as you did the squares. Each rectangle tier will decrease in size by 1/2 block, just like the project with the squares did. Close up the last tier by gluing together 18 blocks side by side. Center and mark those blocks over the last tier and then glue them on. This is how they'll be stacked for gluing. The largest to smallest, centering each tier above the one below it. Mark it before you glue. I started using a ruler to place the glue just to keep it from being so messy. Don't forget to wipe off the glue on all the inside surfaces as well. Last one, can you stand it? I recommend putting some weight on this while it dries. Here she is. Anybody else getting hungry? Thank you so much for watching. I'm thinking about doing a part 2 of this one. You'll just have to wait and see if it happens. Please let me know in the comments below which one of these projects was your favorite. Do you have any other colors that you would do these projects in? Let me know. Until the next one.